I have stopped and abandoned all of my 3 current City Skylines 2 projects, because in this game it's always raining. Well, not only that, but there are several reasons, and in this video it's not only about the game itself, it is also about my very own mistakes and failures. We are going to go through each of the 3 very briefly to show you what my biggest mistakes in those projects were, so you don't do these same mistakes if you want to start over again. And also I'm going to talk a little bit now over the reason of the game that the game delivers, why I'm stopping all of the 3. Let me start with the obvious, and I don't want to repeat what mostly all YouTubers have said now. City Skylines 2 is not in the current situation, or not in the state that it should be, to be one of the games that is, well, loved to be played at this point in time. There are so many issues around this game, and they are not even only because of the performance and bugs, but also in the deep simulation. As you may have seen this already with a lot of other creators, I will not go too much deeper into that, because A, they have described this way better than I have, and B, as I'm more of a detail builder anyways, or like a sandbox kind of builder, it's not my biggest concern. I have other concerns with this game, and my biggest concern for me personally was I was expecting this game to be updating a lot quicker with new content, and I was layouting and planning my projects in a way that I was hoping more content was coming soon. Specifically, the new styles of the different residential zoning styles and different country styles. We still only have the European style and the US style, and they are so similar in so many ways that the creative freedom really is hindered a lot. And for me personally, this is one of the major reasons why at some point all my projects felt like going into a dead end, because I had plans for these projects in my mind, in my head, and they were built upon the original release map of City Skylines 2, which, as we all know, is not existing in that way anymore. And so I had to change my plans in different ways while a building is collapsing on the side. I haven't seen that one before. Okay, we just move on as if nothing has happened. This is basically my biggest flaw at this point, because I was hoping this game to be becoming a lot more of an alternative to City Skylines 1. And I said that before the game was released, and I still stick by that. The very single job that City Skylines had was to become a better game than City Skylines 1 was with all the mods, and it has to be very much equal at the release, and from there on get better and better. And there is no way I can justify saying that at this point, because neither has it the content the first game has, nor is it better in performance, and hence getting the graphics and stuff down to have the performance. We even have graphics comparisons that don't really stick up at every point. So a lot of issues. But those were not the major issues why I stopped my series. I could have just simply said, you know, I paused them until things are sorted out, but that's not the point. I also did a couple of mistakes. They involve me following the development too quickly, following the demand meter too much. This thing scares me, guys. This thing is making me go nuts. But genuinely, I think this game, to say something really positive about this game, I genuinely think this game has a good foundation. Yes, there is a lot of issues. There is a lot that has to be fixed. And yes, there is simulation-wise also something that has to be fixed. But in a lot of ways, this game has a good foundation. And I still believe in the future success of this game. However, and this is my point I need to bring in, we need to take it slower, okay? And this will be also something that I'm going to talk about later. I know there are a lot of mods out there, and I know these mods are amazing, and I'm using some of those already. But mods should not be here to save a game. They should be there to expand the game, to make it better, not to fix it. They should be there to make us more happy with the game, to give us more possibilities than we already have. But at this point, the mods feel like saving the game. And for me personally, I have a little bit of an issue with that, because I first of all want a great game and a fixed game before this can happen. So relying on all these mods means also relying on them if there are any updates, relying on the modders to update that stuff quickly enough, and all these things are not really something that I want to have, because, you know, doing this as a side thing and as a hobby, I don't always have the time to fix all the mods and all these things. So the point is, I need to take it slower, and I need to go down to one project only, which is going to be happening after my holiday. I'm going to talk about that a little bit at the end of the video. But now, I don't want to bother you more with the points you already know. Let's talk about the 3 projects I had running and why I am ending them. Alright, we are here in my biggest of all the projects, and this is Westwood Harbor. In case you haven't seen this one, this is potentially also the most seen one, with the big harbor over here, which got a couple of nice views. The same goes with the airport over here. But after that, obviously people lost interest because, and this is the biggest failure of this project, I really pushed too hard and too fast into it. Everything is like oversized and very much standard. There's like, except this harbor, which I guess really deserves its praise, but except the harbor, not really everything has received the same love and the same kind of dedication to detail, as you can tell over here. That was quite a lot of work. Also, my god, what's going on with the graphics? It really shows how much of a difference it makes if you spend the time to really make one quarter or one area exactly the way you want it. And I'm still very happy with how this harbor area over here turned out. I think it's looking very realistic. It shows what this game is capable of, and that was the beginning of using not even mods, that was just the dev tools within the game. So there's not really a mod, so to say, in place, but we used the dev tools, so we were able to place some certain buildings and, you know, working with the little harbor trick I was showing on my tutorial and all these things. I guess this was a good project to learn, but I must admit that at some point I also felt like this is not gonna go any great. I even deleted the episode of the Christmas episode, which received some awkward hate, because the only thing I said was that I got inspiration by an AI how this road layout could look like, and then everyone was hating on that. I was like, hey, you know, I just don't need to do that on Christmas Eve. It doesn't matter. But I still like the idea to shape the path like this little Christmas, you know, park idea. But then again, the surroundings are just like fake surroundings. You can see even the train station is not even connected, and everything over here, they're like ugly gaps, and just overall this, you know, this area here is not perfectly fine. I then took the time to rearrange the center city, so this is now relatively good, I gotta say. Like, this main center is good, but as soon as you move over here into the other areas, you can see, oh my god, look at this abnormal little T over here. What kind of, I don't even know what that is. Let's not focus on that, okay? It's not really looking any good. And also some other of the outskirts, like some of them look better, some others don't. Like I focus a bit on this area over here, and you can tell there's a bit of a thought that went into it with this lowered tram line in the center, which I quite like. It's kind of one of the more nice looking things I did in here. It fits to the huge project. A couple of little fixes I would need to do, but other than that, it's good. But it's, you know, it's all just very much for learning purpose only, and I kind of followed the rabbit of demand a little bit too much. And also, let's not talk about this industrial zone, which is I don't even know what that is, okay? Let's move on to the next one. There's really not that much to say. This is a huge project. It's still running quite okay, and I don't even know how. Let's have a look how many inhabitants we have. Like, yeah, 86,000. We used to be at 100,000, but this a couple of things went wrong. And yeah, there's no point in building this any further. It was a good test, you know, it was good, but let's go on to the other failure I did. And this is my very own Bad Rudy's Heim. This is my project with everything enabled, playing with actual money, you know, not in kind of sandbox mode, but actually my oldest of all the parks, where I have started with City Skylines 2, and this is equally one of my biggest problems. As you can tell, the map is kind of broken, as this border over here shows. It's one of the very early beginnings of the game where we were not even allowed to, you know, release the material before it was given a go. And this is also because of the fact that this project suffered from an early bug where the money was corrupted, and then all of a sudden my city, which actually went pretty well, started to go bankrupt, and I needed to change a couple of things. And I think the biggest fail of this thing is the traffic and the city layout in general. I wanted to do it as German as possible, and in terms of traffic jams, it kind of worked out. But other than that, it is a horrible situation right now in terms of traffic, in terms of public transport, in terms of overall city infrastructure. There's a lot I would need to change. I'm rather happy with some of the new suburbs we did. I'm super happy, to be honest, with the racetrack, I must admit. I know Sully has done a completely different version of that later on with all the mod tools available, but this over here still makes me proud. I feel like it's a very good middle ground, you know. It's not like super crazy, but it's also not looking too shabby. And if you look from over here, it has some really decent elevation changes in here. Some really cool areas, but yeah, look at, I mean, this map in the background started to be ever that much more annoying in my eye, and I just can't play on this map anymore. Again, I like stuff like this, what we've done, you know. This is becoming so much more German looking now and landside looking. It's becoming better and better, and with the new options and with new mod tools, we could make these things look super good, but we can still do this in a different project. There is no need for me to go on with this stuff over here. It just doesn't need to be anymore, you know. There are some cool corners around here, something that looks good, you know. This area over here turned out to be looking better and better. And if I would have planted a lot more forest, as you can see, I've already done stuff like that in between, and as soon as they would have all grown, this whole map would look so decent. But at this point, also, if you look at, you know, if you get at the city stats, you can see I would need to do so much, and all the demands, I followed them way too quickly. It just shows that this project is one of those you have to stop. Even though, like, all the nodes over here doesn't even look too shabby. If we look, for example, into the traffic, this is the public transport, by the way. It just doesn't really work out that well. It's kind of a mess, as you can tell. There is like a huge problem over there. And in general, it's also not super logic how it's laid out. And if we go to the actual traffic, you can see it is not really working that well. And as you know how the overall like situation is, also we have 1 a.m. at night, so it doesn't even, like, you don't want to see that at 9 a.m. or so. That is horrendous then. So it's not really nice at all, and there's no point in going on. That makes no sense. Let's move on to the last of the three that I'm abandoning. Actually, I'm abandoning all of them, but the three are the ones to talk about because these were my 3 running projects. So let's go to the last one and then finally go to a conclusion. And the last of the bunch is Venice Delta, or New Venice Delta, I think it's called like that. This used to be my tutorial park, or my tutorial city, I should say. And, you know, it started out being very nice and tidy, and some very nice neighborhoods with like a very nice central axis. The traffic used to be very good, and this time around my expansion wasn't too quick, as this used to be my biggest mistake. I just don't feel where this is going. I kind of like, I like the idea of having this Venice style area over here, but the more I recognize that we are lacking the tools to create this nice looking, and I got bored of all the houses and stuff, the more I got used to the thought that I shouldn't go on with this, because it just doesn't really make that much sense, you know. Also, I did a couple of mistakes in here. I definitely wouldn't need to redo all of it. There's a way simpler method of doing a properly layouted canal situation over here, with all these ugly kind of terrain errors, bugs. I don't even know how to call that. It's my own fault, but I could have just done it this way just to show you real quick. It doesn't even matter. I did the mistake that I created this in an awkward way, but I could have just gone and used this technique over here to basically kind of create a pit like this, for example, you know, building like this, getting all these XP points over here, and then it would have been so easy to just go to the landscaping mode, use this one over here, go to a lower strength so that we get to this ground, and then we can decrease the brush size quite a bit, go to the level tool, and then we select the height we need. So there you go. This is the only thing we need to do in the middle, and for the outside you can keep this basically up and then, for example, you could just go here and then connect this to the water. Bam, there you go, and all of a sudden you have a canal very neatly layouted, and you are basically just free to rename this street as always, or you can also just go to the street and then name that like with a you can give it a, basically what you need to do is to do a slash or like a space bar in a word program, and then copy that in here, and then basically you can give it no name at all, and then you wouldn't see it under the water. But this is the way how it would work, and then this would fill in, and you have got a perfect canal without these issues I caused over here. So that's one of the mistakes, but nevertheless we still don't even have the houses I would love to have. And yeah, it's really, this one over here was not really that much of a mistake of me pushing too hard. There was no really my mistake of focusing too much on one thing. I think over here my biggest mistake was really to go into this Venice kind of style way too early and then doing it too ugly. I just don't feel it, I don't like it. And also with the water sources, we do now have access to water sources via a certain way, but it just doesn't feel it. And also the map is not something I would love to continue on. And yeah, that's that for those three. I guess we gotta get to a little conclusion. So yeah, it was fun as long as it lasted. And now the conclusion was relatively easy to say goodbye to all my current projects, to make room for a new project that I'm going to start after my holiday, my upcoming holiday. 2 weeks of skiing now ahead of me, and after that we are going to start another German-inspired project. That's as much as I want to say. It's gonna be highly detailed, it's gonna be very slow-paced, it's gonna be very much focused on making sure we do the best build. I have really good faith in making a City Skylines 2 series that is actually fun, and not falling into the trap again of going too quickly because of the given reasons at the beginning of the video, and also because of the given reasons of, well, what I've just said, with me pushing too much in certain projects, or following the rabbit of that demand of cities too much, and just a couple of things that I want to do different now. I still believe in the foundation of this game. I still believe there is stuff for us to get out of here, and have a good time together developing nice cities, and also developing nice layouts, nice infrastructure, nice public transport. There's a lot I want to kind of experience with you together and also develop over time. So that's going to be a completely different approach than the one we had in the past 3 series I was showing today. This was a rather quick video to give you an insight to why I was, well, rather abruptly ending all my series, but you know, I've not been alone with that. I guess you've seen this, many people over YouTube have been talking about City Skylines 2, and I was staying quiet for a while because I was not really sure what to say, because I'm not that much into the community as I used to be in the past, and I'm also not as much into it as I wished to be at this point, which definitely has to do with the, well, let's say, complicated launch situation and situation of the game. But I'm willing to spend more time on this game because I genuinely enjoy it, and I genuinely enjoy it more than City Skylines 1 because of the reasons that I was talking about a bit briefly at the beginning, but I will talk about this a bit more in the future. Now, this is, my friends, this video. There's not really that much more to say. I gave you some reasons to why we were ending this whole thing, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, can understand it, and maybe I'll see you all again once we start the new project, and once we hopefully see some updates and additions to City Skylines 2. Until then, I wish all of you a wonderful time. Let me know in the comments what you think of this game, what your experience was so far. Have you also abandoned your projects? Are you still working on one? Have you started a new one? Or maybe didn't you even get the game? Did you refund the game? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'm very happy to join the discussion. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Goodbye.